Greetings, GameCola faithful, and welcome to the GameCola podcast. This is podcast number 157, not featuring anyone named Kevin. And I am your host and podcast commander, Joseph Martin, joined by...
Is that me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. It's out of order for me. Wait, no, I guess it's the same order for everybody, isn't it? I guess I come in. I'm used to Anna being here, but we had our top 10 Anna May betrayals. Anna was supposed to be here, but sadly she could not make it. Yes, I am GameCola's second Editor-in-Chief, Alex the Jedi Jedraszczak.
I am John Rizzi. I haven't been on the podcast in a while because I've been busy. Yes, I made that rhyme.
Okay, now I got it. Rizzi and busy. There it is. Okay, took me a second.
I was like, please someone get that with the
It took me a moment.
pause.
It took me a moment. So yeah, we're here with another GameCola podcast talking about video game news and discussion, or video game related news and discussion, because, I mean, our first thing that we have to talk about, luckily John has witnessed the miracle of modern cinema, Sonc II Hedgehog.
Hey.
So, John, tell us. John, I think it's important to note as you give your opinions that you're not just some guy.
Oh, yeah, no.
You know about the movies, the moving pictures.
For actual context. Yeah, technically I started, I reviewed movies in high school as a dumb high school casual. Just me, who just liked movies, and then I actually
the amateur scene.
Yes, and then I actually went to film school and actually learned how movies were made and what actual criticism of movies can be and all that good stuff. And then now I'm just working as an assistant editor in LA. But yeah,
just only.
Yeah, yeah, just only. Yeah, I'm just only making robots in London. No big deal, right?
Yeah.
We'll just as long as we're downplaying cool things that we do. Also important to note that this means that John's opinions on the Sonic movie are objectively correct.
No.
So just to, I mean, that's the first thing they teach you in film school, right? That
yes, film is an objective medium.
Have an objective medium,
not up
right?
to any interpretation at all.
If the movie has 60 frames per second, that's more than 30 frames per second, which is what movies are traditionally filmed at, 30 frames per second. None of this 24 business. What's 24? That's not a real number. And 60 frames is more than 30, so that's a better movie, right? That's how it works.
I don't know. The Hobbit was released in 48 frames per second in theaters, and everyone hated it.
John, 48's a made-up. That's not a real number. Everybody knows that everything's either 30, 60, or unlimited. This is a video game podcast, John.
Well, if I really want to break the illusion for you, we actually export everything at 23.98 frames a second.
Oh, wow. Yeah, because I was going to say 29.96 is the one I'm used to.
Okay, enough banter. Enough talk!
Have at you.
On this podcast. John, thoughts on the Sonic movie? Give us your thesis statement, your essay.
It's fun. That's it.
Nice.
Okay. Actual review. It's pretty good. I like the first one because that was actually ironically. I've seen this on Twitter. It's where people's the pandemic started with the release of Sonic 1, and then it ended with the release of Sonic 2.
Yeah, because it's one of, now that movie theaters are opening back up, it was one of the last movies to be in theaters before things started closing down.
Yeah,
because it was February, right?
Yeah, that was the second to last movie 2020. I saw in theaters before the pandemic started. And the last one was there was a Pixar movie called Onward that I saw literally a few days before everything was shut down.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this one I liked it more than the first one. The first one is just fine. It's a Sonic movie. It has the spirit of the characters and the lore, but it's just a typical fish out of water / superhero story.
animated character sitting in the passenger seat or in the shotgun seat in adjacent human driver.
It's a typical movie, and as far as video game movies go, it's not the worst. It's just a fun, entertaining movie.
Yeah, like, it's like
as an adaptation,
unremarkable in a good way.
Yeah.
Like, I think the only other movie that's sort of been able to achieve that was the Prince of Persia movie, which was just kind of like, yeah, decent flick. Good job.
Yeah.
At least that's what I remember.
It's just like kind of forgettable in parts, but at best it's charming. Mm-hmm. This one goes all in on the craziness and just tries to straight up be not an adaptation. Oh, I guess an adaptation just instead of in Sonic's world, it takes place mostly on Earth still.
That's not outside of the realm of Sonic adaptations already.
Yeah.
I mean, there's Sonic X, which it feels mostly similar to Sonic X, honestly.
Honestly, yeah, it pretty much catches the spirit of that
including the part where there's a unnecessary human character that nobody likes.
I will say this: the human characters in these movies are actually really likable.
James Humanman, Sonic's dad, is more likable character than Chris Thorndike. I will give you that.
Chris Thorndike was an annoying little.
Yeah.
Annoying little kid.
I'm sad because I'm best friends with Sonic the Hedgehog and Rich beyond your wildest dreams, and my parents only see me sometimes.
Oi, I get to save the world.
But I did hear that the human supporting cast was a little bit more entertaining in this one.
Yeah, they're entertaining, they're nice, they're charming, and they have some funny lines every now and then. Yeah.
Anna specifically wanted us to mention that she liked the wedding scene.
Yeah,
we will get to that.
Okay, we'll get to that.
We will get to that. That's like 15 minutes of a 2-hour movie.
Okay.
The whole movie's fine. Jim Carrey's performance is over the top and zany as ever, as you would like him. My roommate really loves Jim Carrey and like anything he's in, even like some of his worst movies, because he's like the best part of those movies. But yeah, he's entertaining. I would say his jokes aren't as funny as they were in the first one, because there's like a handful of jokes he delivers in the first one that maybe like bust a gut laughing. And this one, they're all like kiddie jokes. Like this one's definitely more kid friendly in terms of tone and lines and delivery.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But yeah, no, it's still entertaining. He does the floss dance, and he
Didn't
does
he do that in the first one.
Did he? I don't remember.
Sonic did the floss in the first one.
But but the way he does it doesn't make it like a cringy reference. Like, I'm doing the floss. Look at me. It's really. It's just funny. He's saying like a bunch of funny stuff while he's doing it.
Mm-hmm. So, what about our animal friends, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles?
Captain
Knuckles.
They're fine. Tails is, I think, the only voice actor that's been the same as the same voice actor in the same voice actress that's been voicing him in the games.
Yeah. So it's an interesting distribution because Tails is like from the games. Mm-hmm. And then Sonic
is comedian Ben Schwartz, who's
but
really
like
funny.
And also like he has not voiced Sonic, but he has voiced Sonic-esque characters in animated children's TV shows.
Yeah, it was a bit. It was a good choice then. It's a good choice now. I'm glad they kept it.
It wasn't a case of what I think, and no discredit to him, but like we know why he was cast like this. It is not the case of popular name recognition, live action actor being cast for marketing, which again, like it's hard for me, even if he does a good job, it's hard for me to see Knuckles' choice there as anything other than that, at least from the beginning.
I will say this, like, it's like no actor is hired in Hollywood if they don't want to do a movie.
Oh,
That is a myth. And I will say Idris Elba's performance as Knuckles is probably the funniest performance in the whole movie.
No, yeah, no, I'm not saying it's bad. And I'm just highlighting the like interesting spectrum. It's not usually with animated movies or movies that feature voice acting like this, where it's a mix of animated and live action. Like there's like a consistent philosophy of, okay, where are we sourcing our talent from? Right?
Yeah.
Are we using people from the voice acting industry, or are we using actors famous for live action work that we're going to plaster all over the, Zendaya's Michi. This is a very specific internet reference. But like, you get what I mean when I say that, if you've seen the video, right? Like, I don't want to make it sound like I'm saying live action actors cannot do voice acting.
I'm just glad Chris Pratt was not cast as Knuckles.
Yes, that is the other side. That's the other side of it, where it's like, yes, it's cast because, again, I know I would be a terrible pick for pretty much not even just pretty much any Hollywood production that requires voice acting. I would be a terrible pick. If someone asked me to do it, I would absolutely do it. Even if I knew it was going to make the movie worse. And I'm not saying that's what's happening here. I'm just highlighting an extreme example to hopefully show where I stand. Anyway, I just think it's interesting that you go from like literally the person who voices them in the game, person who has a voice acting career but is new to Sonic, at least when in the first movie, to someone who I don't think is very well known for any. I mean, he's probably done voice acting roles that I just haven't heard of before, but he's certainly not known for any of his voice acting roles.
Yeah, no. And I will say, for how his character is written in the movie, because I know Knuckles in the games he's more of a straight arrow. He's very serious. And to be honest, I never really thought his voice or tone of voice really fit that. Personally, that's just my take on this.
Well, unlike Sonic, he does not chuckle.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I think for the tone they're going for in the movie itself, it's like very dramatic, but it's also overly dramatic to the point where a lot of opportunities for jokes come in.
Yeah, I've seen some clips, and I definitely it works best where like there's a bit of cheesiness to how over dramatic it gets at certain points.
Yeah, and that's
but then there are a couple moments where it's like it's being played like really, really straight to the point where
it just sounds funny.
Yeah, it's awkward and funny in a way that does not seem to be intended. Like I've seen a clip. I don't know where it actually takes place. But I have no idea where in the movie. It could happen in like the first 15 minutes. It could happen at the very end. Yeah. It's kind of like a third act betrayal moment, which of course it's a movie. It's a movie. It has a third act betrayal.
Yeah. So
it's not a spoiler.
I will say that
and that part is like, ugh.
Yeah, no, for context, it's like that. Here's the thing about the internet. When you see movie clips just out of context, like I remember there was a movie called Marriage Story that came out like a few years ago. And everyone was watching this one argument scene out of context. And they were just making fun of, oh, look how over the top this performance is. Like, this was nominated for Best Actor and Best Actress. It's like, this is near the end of the movie. It's the climactic scene. Of course it's going to seem goofy and over dramatic if you don't watch like the 2 hours beforehand where it builds up to it. Yeah.
Right, and that might be fair.
Yeah,
it just felt like that was it wasn't just that it was over dramatic. It just felt like there wasn't any space for the over dramaticness to be funny because it was supposed to be sad.
Yeah, no, I totally understand that too. It's just that throughout
it absolutely will work better if I watch the whole movie. I didn't realize that it wasn't promotional material when I clicked on it. It was very well disguised. I thought it was like, oh, here's a short scene from the movie, because like people will do that. Like, to go off topic from video games for a bit, like what is it, Bad Guys, the new DreamWorks movie? Like they literally just said like, here's 6 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, they do, and that.
It's like
they do that when they're afraid the movie's not going to do well. So it's like, here's 6 minutes of the actual movie. Interested now? which I hate for any movie. I hate it when they do that. But that's not my decision to make. That's just
but
a
so
marketing
that's
thing.
just to. I wasn't trying to pirate Sonic the Hedgehog 2 the movie. I thought it was a promotional clip.
Yeah, no, Twitter's weird. But yeah, I will say throughout the whole movie, he does play it straight and for most of the movie, and that allows for a lot of comedic beats where it does seem like to general audience to be like, was that intentional? Was that comedic beat intentional? And it's like, yes, it is intentional the whole time, because they're gonna try and make you laugh throughout every little thing, because it's like either you're gonna find it funny or you're not. And if you find it funny, hey, that just means more positivity for the movie, more positive word of mouth. So a lot of little things that people think about when you're editing a movie or looking at a performance.
So the wedding scene.
Yes. So to get really technical, there is a wedding subplot in the movie where like James Marsden's character is just like, that's where he is throughout the whole movie, while Sonic's fighting Eggman and whatnot. But he doesn't want him to worry about it and everything. So it's that whole cliche kind of thing. And like, so when it inevitably gets to the wedding and Sonic like ruins it, it deviates to the bride and groom, because apparently for like 15 minutes, and as Sonic and Tails get captured for wrecking the wedding. And it's like, and the bride goes on like a revenge quest because she blames the groom for everything that happened. And it goes on for 15 minutes of screen time. I'm not even kidding. And it's like, it would be better for me if it cut back to like Sonic, Tails, or even James Marsden just like trying to escape, because they eventually do escape. But it's like, when you don't cut back for 15 minutes, it just felt like, am I watching the same movie? It was hilarious, though. The whole sequence was hilarious. Every joke landed for me. It was just very weird. I was like, where are we in this movie right now?
So, okay, final question, I think, and then closing thoughts, if you want. Do you think there is going to be a Sonic the Hedgehog the movie 3?
Do I? Yeah.
Okay,
no question about it.
Well, I wouldn't have any question, except... wasn't there recently a news article where Jim Carrey said Sonic 2 was like the last movie he was going to be doing for a while? Or maybe that was fake. It's the internet. Maybe that was fake.
It was probably like an interview thing taken out of context. That crap happens all the time. And plus, it's Hollywood. Yeah. Okay. Contracts go around, money floats around, persuasion goes around. It's like, hey, can you just do this one real quick? We already have it written. He's like, yeah, sure, why not? Why not? And then I
guess how many Sonic movies will they make? I mean, like Sonic movie 3. And like, I know. Okay, I'm going to say something to give you plausible deniability, because I don't actually know. But Sonic movie 3, it has to be about Shadow the Hedgehog. I don't know if there's an end credits. If there is going to be about Shadow the Hedgehog, there might be an end credit scene in Sonic movie 2. I literally don't know. So this is not a spoiler. So anything that John now says related to whether or not there is an end credit scene featuring Shadow the Hedgehog doesn't mean anything, because I literally don't know. This is not a misdirection. I literally do not know if Shadow the Hedgehog is mentioned, okay? But now we can talk about a supposed Sonic movie 3 with Shadow the Hedgehog, and John has plausible deniability either way.
I mean, it's not all right, so spoiler. I'll just freaking spoil it, too. So spoiler alert. For Sonic movie 2, the post-credits scene is Shadow the Hedgehog. Basically,
John, what did I do all that for? What did I do all of that for?
You did it. I couldn't interrupt you. You did it.
I was helping you, so you didn't have to do this.
It's a movie. It's been out for like 2 weeks. Who cares about spoilers at this point?
But
I hate that about movie culture recently. It's like, oh, don't spoil it.
But don't you want people to, like, not know that Shadow the Hedgehog is going to be there, even though that's the only thing that you would put in the end of Sonic 2, the movie, and an end credit scene to tease the third movie is Shadow the Hedgehog? Like, it's literally, there's no end credit scene, or there's Shadow the Hedgehog.
So my defense, the movie's been out for 3 weeks. If they really, really cared about spoilers, they would have either seen it online by now or have seen the movie itself.
I mean, yeah, it's also going to be, another week until the podcast actually goes out.
Yeah.
Anyway. So
exactly.
Yeah, but so Shadow the Hedgehog is number 3, and that's good, right? Like there is a dynamic there, but I don't know where you go after Shadow the Hedgehog. I don't think you can really go
Chaos.
to a 4.
Big the cat.
But the Chaos is, they're kind of, if you're going chronologically, you're skipping Chaos, because Chaos comes before Shadow the Hedgehog.
No, well, if you were doing it chronologically, this movie would have just had Tails and not Knuckles.
Sure, no, I know, but that's what I'm, you can also go chronologically and also, skipping some, right? You can go 1, 3, 7, and it's chronological as long as you don't go backward ever.
Yeah, no, it's the way they look at it is I'm sure a producer who was looking at the Sonic the Hedgehog IP was like, hey, this character's really popular. Can we have Shadow the Hedgehog be the villain in Sonic the Hedgehog 1? And then some writer would have been like, no. Yeah, it's you have to have an audience digest this, so 1 has to be just Sonic and Eggman, and then we can just introduce more characters in 2, and then it will be really effective if we have Shadow in 3. It's
okay, who else are they gonna bring in 3?
Yeah,
is it just
probably Shadow? Definitely Shadow. I don't know why I said probably. Probably Amy.
I'm not Shadow. I'm my own original character.
Probably
Blado.
Probably Amy for 3. I can't think of anyone else. Maybe like Cream and Chow. A Chow. I don't know.
Rouge the Bat.
I would be perfectly fine if we never see Rouge the Bat in live action.
I just don't know. It depends on where they're gonna go. I don't know. The vibe of the Sonic movies, when I look at them, and I don't know why, I could not give you any good argument as to why.
For me, it's not a matter of where they're gonna go. It's just that what characters are they gonna use? Because plot wise, it's I'll be honest, the Sonic games aren't really known for having a deep plot other than just what's
ones
in the adventure. Yeah.
Exactly. Sonic movie 4 is just Sonic 06, but a theatrical version. That would, if you took a solid stab at the Sonic 06 and tried to make it a movie, I don't know. You could make, I don't know. It's such an interesting thing to think about, where they would try to go, what they would try to do with that, past Shadow, just because there's no clear, it's so obvious 1, 2, and 3. If you know you're going to make 1, 2, and 3, it's obvious which characters to center around in 1, 2, and 3. But there's not really a clear path after 3. It's interesting.
If they can just do what they want. It's they'll probably, what are some of the more other memorable villains from the series besides Chaos?
Metal Sonic. Metal Sonic I think could work.
And Metal Sonic it's basically just another evil version of Sonic, which is what Shadow is going to be.
I know, but you can Shadow is.
It's not going to be. I don't think that's going to be interesting enough to It'll be interesting to Sonic fans for sure, but I don't think it'll be interesting enough to a wide general audience.
I can see that,
especially if we had Shadow already.
I can see where you're coming from, but I think introducing because you are kind of going unchronologically but
chronology doesn't matter.
I know. But what I'm saying is if you think about the spectrum, if you start at Knuckles, where you're having antagonists that are not just right. Eggman is just evil, right? But then you start with Knuckles is. And this is just generally Knuckles, not specifically Knuckles in the movie. Knuckles is a good guy who just does not understand things. He's very easy to trick. But he's a good guy. So getting him to getting aligned with him is just a matter of communication. Shadow is you can't just tell him. Shadow's not being tricked. he's just got a certain way of being that you can end up aligning with if you sort of figure out how your interests align with him. I think it's like very simplified.
I like how you said he has a certain way of being, and then I just like had a vision of the Shadow the Hedgehog game opening scene where he's cocking a machine gun.
Shadow has a way that he is. He has a way that he is. But there's banter in there, and like I feel like something that you can do interesting with Metal Sonic is that there's no counterplay. Metal Sonic is a robot. There's no talking with him. He is just a force of nature that you have to deal with.
I would not be surprised if they want to do Metal Sonic. I would not be surprised if they gave him like a very minor like cameo role in 3, like oh, Eggman's back and he built a robot Sonic just to get back at Sonic, to be ironic, and then that's how Shadow gets introduced. It's like Sonic's about to fight Metal Sonic, and then Shadow comes in and just wrecks Metal Sonic. And anyway, he's never seen in the movie again.
We have talked about this for quite some time. Jetty's fallen asleep. Jetty, what do you think about Sonic the Hedgehog and his movies?
The only thing I've heard about it is that people were complaining about why are they making a Sonic movie for like non-Sonic fans? Like it's explicitly like ignoring the canon and just kind of going after like the normal movie watcher. So it's like, what was the point? You could have just made this anything. It didn't have to be Sonic if you weren't going to do anything other than have a blue hedgehog in it.
That's definitely true of the first one. There's nothing aside from the speed. Like you could replace Sonic with like the Roadrunner. It wouldn't change very much.
Yeah, and this movie in terms of tone, it definitely feels like a classic like Sonic thing. You have the spirit of every one of the characters is there. It even has like a bunch of set pieces that are basically levels from the games. Like the snowboarding level is like when he's like in the Alps in this movie is very fun. Even has I'll say this, a better version of and more interesting version of the Labyrinth Zone from the first game, because there's like actually traps and he's going fast and it looks very interesting and it's very well put together.
Yeah,
and
I think
it's just a bunch of stuff like that. A lot of nods that just feel very Sonic. And the ending is super satisfying for Sonic fans.
It's also like Sonic in modern times has latched on to this sort of like level, like I'm on like 7 layers of irony, so you can't even tell what I mean. Kind of, you know what I mean? Like that kind of humor. Like Sonic is like ironically self-referentially deprecative. And that's been sort of Sonic's new brand. And I think that's where like some people just really don't jive with the sort of modern Sonic, because it kind of makes like if you think about the Sonic Adventure era, like there's a lot of stuff that we make fun of in the Sonic Adventure era, right? Like lines that are like, I mean, Shadow the Hedgehog in particular, the game was like, Ow the Edge, right? Like, and you're the fake hedgehog faker, and like all that, right? And like now we see that and it's like, oh, look at this funny thing trying to be serious. But if you were like actually invested, if you were, the target demographic and actually sort of invested in this sort of, in the theatrics that were, there were, at the time, that was what was engaging content, was this like, Ow the Edge, very serious, despite like ignoring the silliness of the premise and trying to be serious regardless. I feel like is very like early 2000s.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's a time with like, I don't know. I think of like Homestuck. I've never read Homestuck, so this is a generalization. I've heard a lot about it. But like, like it's a goofy thing that's very serious. And I don't know. It feels like that kind of culture is still there. And then you have 90s where it's like Sonic is just cool. and it's not a joke. He's
Yeah.
just a cool dude, right? But now it's like Sonic is cool because he makes bad jokes, but he or at least the people making it are aware that it's cheesy. And that sort of self-referential is what is sort of the pillar of modern Sonic like brand image. And I think
I will say
there are people who don't like that because they were, when they were kids, or now they were sincerely invested in the stuff that now we kind of make fun of.
I will say that's kind of why I found the ending of this movie to be like extraordinarily satisfying for longtime Sonic fans, because there's a great moment where the jokes stop and Sonic's just like had enough and just fights. Like he and Knuckles and Tails just cut the crap and they just start fighting, and they're just start fighting and they start being cool like their old like 90s selves. Like it's like, oh, this is why I love this team dynamic in the first place. This is why this game works so well for me, or this character moment in Adventure 2 worked for me and whatnot. It just harkens back to like I would say like multiple iterations of Sonic from the from like how general audiences and the fan bases perceived him for the better. I will say.
Okay, I think we have to wrap up this topic now. We've been talking for a very long time. What time is it? Oh boy, it's been like half an hour.
All in all, movie's good. 3.5 out of 5.
Okay, it's now time for the viewership suggestion corner. I made a post on the YouTube community page for GC.net, the letter G, the letter C, the word dot, the word net, asking if people had some things that they wanted us to bring up on the podcast. One is from, I believe, Kiss Best Fan would be the proper way to say their name. Frequent commenter on the Danganronpa series, among some others. And they suggested we talk about the OpenLara project, which, John, I think you know a little bit about this too.
Yeah.
I only looked it up today after seeing that. But it's basically like, I think rebuilding Lara Croft games 1 through 5, but like from the source code in a way that allows you to play it for it to be adapted and ported to a bunch of different systems.
Yeah. So it's not a port of the games, it's a port of the classic Tomb Raider engine that they made the PS1 games in. So so basically what it is, it's a port of the engine that's just running the game's script because it has all the assets already built into it.
I see.
So like that engine always surprised me because of how manageable it is. I believe that's the right term for it, because you can pretty much put it on anything. Like I've seen people like play it on Apple Watches. I've seen people try to play ports of it on like a calculator once.
Yeah, the one I saw was on Game Boy Advance.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was a while ago too. Ooh,
yeah, it's also an old project, like since the mid 2000s, I think.
Yeah, it is an old project.
And it includes a browser version too.
I was about to say that. The browser, you can play like the first 2 levels of Tomb Raider 1 in like 1080p 60 frames per second just on an internet browser. And then you can just download the engine from there and just do whatever you want with it. I think this sort of happened because the PC version of Tomb Raider 5, when that came out, it came with the Tomb Raider level editor, which is now just open source, and literally anyone can make their own PS1 style Tomb Raider levels. And I've seen a bunch of great fan projects from them. There's like a haunted house level that looked really cool. Like people just import their own character models and just images for items and whatnot. And even just improve the engine itself. Like in this one that we saw, was basically the water physics looked incredible. And like for Tomb Raider 1, and there's like a bunch of improved shadows. It actually makes everything look like an actual model and texture, as opposed to just like images or pixelated images. I love Tomb Raider 1. I played it for the first time like when the pandemic started, and it like shot up to like one of my favorite games I've ever played. So I just end up learning a whole lot about it.
I mean, it also just feels like video game hacking is just in like a renaissance right now. Like it's like we've kind of like just like there've been hacks of 3D games for a long time, don't get me wrong, but like it feels like we've sort of cracked, we collectively as the community, and I'm saying we very loosely just because I'm aware of it, but like it's very accessible. There's a lot of tools that it's not just possible, but it's easy without knowing a whole lot. As long as you sort of understand the principles that it's based on, or you just follow the instructions really well, you can get a lot done on things that were like modern at one. Like, I mean, Nintendo 64 pretty much completely cracked. If you, I mean, like two of the biggest games, Mario 64 and Ocarina of Time, are just like completely open source now. Like,
yeah.
And so you can do
download
whatever.
Them straight.
You can just
download them straight online.
But
and
even
just,
like I've dabbled.
Either just play them as is, or just go into the engine and do whatever you want with it.
Right, and then like, but even like I dabbled in some Pokemon hacking just for fun, and like there's just tools that like just let you do what, like if you want to replace the thing, you could just go in and like it's like, here's a list of all the trainers in the game. Here's where you can do a drop down menu and replace what Pokemon they have by hand. And it's like, okay, cool. And
straight up replace like whatever text they say.
Yeah, you can do that.
You want to make Pokemon an M-rated game where everyone's just like mean as hell.
No, I did do. I will say I didn't just use the tools. I did jump in and do some scripting, to change the what is it? The starters, because that was trickier. You have to like actually dive into the scripting. But like it's stuff that like decompiles scripts for certain areas, because it can like recognize the parts of the code that go with like functions, and so like you can change those functions. And so it's just like with tools like that, then it's just a matter of, you don't have to have the technical know-how to read binary code. You just have to kind of know what you're messing around with enough that you don't break anything, and you just have to have a good idea and time.
Yeah,
right?
I used the first game I ever modded was Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic back in like I played it. I played that game like maybe 3 times, and then I just started seeing a bunch of YouTube videos like, what's all this? How'd they get that character to look like that? What happened there? Why is this game so much more clear than when I played it on my screen? So I went in and just like started like, and this is how I learned like what textures were, what character models were, what skins meant. Like I'm learning like so much like technical video game lingo.
And also though, Jetty has been just like making NES games, just for fun, I guess.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Keeping it a secret from all of us. What are the diabolical machinations in Jetty's mind with all the power of the NES at his disposal?
Yeah, actually, I recently joined the NES dev Discord, and it's kind of popping. Like it's really busy. There's a lot of people, and like it's interesting because there's simultaneously like people who are asking questions that like I managed to figure out myself, that like, oh yeah, I remember when I had trouble with that and I managed to get through it. So like I can, give some kind of advice on, what they're trying to do. And then there's also people who are like, trying to put Wi-Fi, like actually making, the chips to put on the cartridges to like connect to other existing chips and make like Wi-Fi work or whatever. That they're like getting to that level, and seeing people who it's funny to like see, like a game developer who I follow on itch.io, and then I follow them on Twitter, and then they're just hanging out chatting in the NES dev Discord. Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, they're a regular person who also just has fun or whatever.
So, I mean, I know you've shown me a game where a purple number increases.
Yeah, and then I also I converted my level editor for Star Runner to output levels that can be read into an actual NES game. So that was fun. But I kind of took a little bit of a break from it. I haven't really been doing much on the computer lately. Work's been really busy, and I've been reading. I read The Andromeda Strain. I read Dune, which, interestingly,
there was a video game about that.
there was multiple. And so it's funny is that, like, as I'm reading Dune, the book, and out of nowhere, one of the game developers who I follow on Twitter starts talking about Dune II, the game from 1992. And, like, it is funny to kind of compare what actually happens in the book to, you know, what happens in the 1984 movie. I haven't seen the new movie, but also comparing it to the Dune 1992 video game and the Dune II 1992 video game. And, you know, seeing the parts where they are similar and very different. Yes, I've been thinking about going back and playing Dune 2 for the GameCola YouTube channel, GCDotNet.
I would love to join you on that, actually. I've been trying to, since I saw the new movie, I've been trying to, like, find, like, if I can get, like, a physical copy of any of the old games, or, like, if I can just buy them anywhere without emulating, And it's a pain in the butt, because they're all, I think, Dune 1 and 2, at the very least, were only released on floppy disks, which I don't have a floppy disk reader or computer for that.
Yeah. No, I have a copy of it. I've talked about this before, right? Did I do a stream of that on my computer?
Of Dune 2 Tune?
On
your Windows 95 stream?
Yes.
I don't think it was on your Windows 95. Well, you might have shown that you had it.
Right, I think I talked about it, but okay, but I did show my what was
your
it?
collection, yes.
Captain Masters, that's what it was. CD of completely legitimately purchased games. So yes, Dune and Dune 2 are on there, which it is also fun, the story behind those, that basically it was given to two separate companies, and there was like a licensing argument that, like, one company thought that the other company had been revoked and that project was canceled. And then they were told that actually the first game was canceled or whatever, and they just continued making it anyway. So then both of them got released the same year, but the first one to come out got labeled Dune, and the one that came out second got labeled Dune 2, even though they're completely not related in any way.
Oh, no.
Like, one's an adventure game, and the other is a real-time strategy game.
Okay, I was wondering which. Alright, I knew it was the real-time strategy. I didn't know Dune 1 was an adventure game.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Dune 1. I did a review for it on GameCola.net, our actual internet website, and I do remember, like, French people coming and being like, "Oh, you do not understand," and it's like, no, I mean, like, it's a good game, right? Like, but it's if the only reason you like it is because you are French and it is a French game, but yeah, it is much closer. It's interesting because it is much closer to the book. Like, it follows the book storyline, kind of. But it's interesting to read the book and see, like, oh wow, they were limited by how much they could really put into a game, right? Like, you have to think in terms of, like, in a book, they can just go anywhere. They can have this happen at any location. They can have anything happen at any time. Meanwhile, in the game, they're like, we're going to just reuse the same place, you know, every time. Everything happens here. So
you like this lobby? Get used to it.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, I would be interested in replaying some of those, because they're also, both of them, good games.
Yeah, but I'm very interested in playing those.
Man, have either of you read the book Dune? I don't imagine.
I read the book Dune when I was very young.
Right.
A long time ago.
Sorry, here, let me pull up the quote, because there's this quote in the book, the part where Paul, he drinks this stuff and he becomes the Kwisatz Haderach or whatever, and then like he touches Jessica.
Knick-knack, paddywhack, give a dog a bone.
Yeah, basically. And then he touches his mom and they like mind meld or whatever. And there's this part where they say, here we go, hold on. Paul's consciousness flowed through and around her and into the darkness. She glimpsed the place dimly before her mind blanked itself away from the terror. Without knowing why, her whole body trembled at what she had seen. A region where a wind blew and sparks glared, where rings of light expanded and contracted, where rows of tumescent white shapes flowed over and under and around the lights, driven by darkness and a wind out of nowhere. I'm just trying to figure out what the tumescent white shapes are, because it is literally never mentioned again in the book.
Oh, I have no idea.
And so, okay, the thing is...
Jay, I was like 13 when I read this book.
Yeah, no, and like, I'm reading it, and like, I know that this is some kind of commentary, because like, there's this whole thing about, men cannot become the Bene Gesserit because there's the stuff that the women can do because they are givers, and there's stuff that only men can do because they are takers, and there's this clash where like Paul does do the Bene Gesserit thing, but he does it from the male essence of taking, and so there's this like weird fight when they do the mind meld thing. And she's like terrified of what's happening, where like they had the mind meld before with two Bene Gesserit and they just like had a good chill time hanging out and like feeling
in the mind zone.
Yeah, like they were like they traded thoughts and memories, and they had this whole connection with like the eternity of like the Bene Gesserit. Like all of the Reverend Mothers have like this mental connection where like they pass on.
Jetty, you're so far out of what I remember about this book.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
I remember then like the third or fourth there's look, I'm going to tell you what I remember about. Okay. I read like three or four of these
really
books.
Yeah,
I'm going to tell you what I remember about Dune.
Okay.
Desert planet with big worms.
Yep.
Spice is money and also food and also drugs.
Yep.
The Gom Jabbar.
Yeah.
You stick your hand in it and it's like
I
the Nicolas Cage in Mount Rushmore scene, but real.
Yeah. Yep.
That's the meeting of two very obscure references. So that's the first. Oh, there's a part where like a guy's death is described from first person in a way that's like doesn't align with the tone of like the rest of the book at all. It was very weird and it stuck with me forever. There's a point where I think Paul becomes like God King at some point.
Yeah.
And he has this guy that he keeps cloning. This is in the later book.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
I'm pretty sure. There's a guy that he keeps cloning and coming back. And then later there's this might be, if there's a book called Children of Dune.
Yeah, there is.
Okay. I'm pretty sure it's this. There's like a brother and sister, and at one point they do like a weird mind meld thing where they like get possessed by the spirit or memory patterns of their parents and have a conversation about what to do.
Yeah.
And there's a conversation that happens in a cave on the sand planet, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that happens.
So I think that's about it. That's about all I remember.
Yeah, no, there's a part where...
Oh, isn't there a part where someone goes into the desert and they like, the narrator like goes out and explains like, hey, if you don't have a point of reference in a desert, you're going to walk around in circles? Is that Dune? It seems like something that would happen in Dune.
Probably,
Dune
but
books.
yeah, I don't know if it would be in one of the later ones. That one didn't happen in the first book.
Okay, I've exhausted my memory,
but like that,
my recollection of what happens in the Dune series.
That is also something that happens in the Dune game specifically. Is that like you're required as part of the game to go wander around in the desert and like you absorb like the spice energy somehow or something like that. It's like not really based on the book as far as I can tell.
Is Jetty,
yes.
You're reading the book right now, right? Or did you recently finish it?
I just finished it.
Is Dune a good book?
Okay.
This is the podcast now.
Yeah, I was going to cut this out.
First part of the podcast was Sonic. Second, we've got Hedgehog and Sant, the two video game topics. I can't remember. Like, I read this book when I was like 13, where I was like, I when I read Dune, I did not have it like within my capacity. I might have been younger than 13, honestly. I did not have it within my capacity to have the thought that a book that a lot of people had read and knew about, and it was really old, and not really old, but like, I say that because I read my dad's copy from like the 80s, which was like tattered and torn.
Yeah. Well,
not really because it was old, but probably just because it was like not well taken care of. That's why I said that. But like, I would not have had the thought, this might not actually be a good book. It might just be a popular book.
Yeah. So hold on. There's a few things. Give me 1 second, because it is actually. It is a fairly old book. Like to think of. Okay. It came out in August of 1965. Which, think about this.
Okay.
You could go, and okay. You could go downtown, driving your brand new Mustang, right? The first Mustang came out 1964 and a half. You could go to the record shop, buy the Beatles album Help that had just come out, and then go to the bookstore and buy Dune. And like thinking about the things that Dune does and says and what it's about, and like the kinds of things where they're like, oh yeah, we had computers and robots, but then they became sentient and rebelled, and so we killed them all and then bred human super brains and like just have like basically human computers now, as like a way of explaining why Dune doesn't have like super technology and whatever. Also, reading this as an adult, it's very obvious that like, oh yeah, there's this weird desert location where there's like Anglo sort of people against like Russian sort of like seeming people, where they're fighting over this thing that powers transportation. I have no idea what this could possibly be referencing in the real world. What kind of conflict involves Russians and Westerners in the desert over some sort of thing that lets people pilot vehicles. And then also there's a lot...
That absolutely would not have crossed my mind
at the age of 13.
A little bit when I was the age I was reading this book.
Yeah. And then also...
the only thought I would have is like, why is it called the Gom Jabbar?
Well, okay, and I'm sorry, I hate this stupid, like, it took me a while to get over the first chapter because it's just like Paul going, what's a Gom Jabbar? Like, repeatedly. And it's like, and like him going, Dune, Arrakis, desert planet. Like, he keeps repeating all these stupid things, and it's like, oh, please. But like, the first few chapters I kind of hated. Then I was getting into the flow of it, and then like around a third of the way into the book, there's this like dramatic shift where things like very suddenly kick in, and Paul kicks a dude, like, okay, Paul gets pushed out of a plane and he spins around and kicks a dude directly in the left ventricle, killing him instantly. And like,
what?
Yeah, exactly. Why has this never been shown in any of the Dune visual media? Actually, I'm not
because
sure.
It's so unbelievable to be like, what the heck just happened?
Yeah.
It's a book. You could kind of just say anything.
Yeah, he uses his Bene Gesserit training to like directly move his foot. What was it, under the sternum, over the liver, directly to the left ventricle? What else happens? Yeah, and then like there's another like boring part where they just kind of like walk around and talk a whole lot, and then very suddenly there's like all of the drug trip stuff where there's multiple different instances of him like having these trip experiences where he's like, oh yeah, I can like see time, and it's like a what was it? It's like a rag floating on the breeze or something, and he can see all of the like shapes, but like as it tumbles on the breeze, he like loses sight of different stuff. I don't know. There's some interesting things that it talks about. And yeah, there's this part where I think his sperm is jumping through hula hoops. Like, I'm not sure what this is trying to say. Again, where rows of tumescent white shapes float over and under and around the rings of light. I have no clue what.
Did you like highlight?
Sorry, I opened
sections of the.
I searched for the thing on the internet and then I found it and I opened it earlier while we were talking about it.
Oh, okay.
So like, yeah, I have the.
It's like Jetty's really remembering these exact passages from the book Dune.
Yeah, actually, the part where he kicks the guy over under the sternum, over the liver, and directly into the left ventricle. That part I have memorized, but this tumescent white
not?
shapes. Yeah, I mean
that has to Jetty. It's going to be long enough that people will forget. You have to put that line somewhere in the next Hacks and Slash where we all write it together.
Yes. But yeah, it makes me want to replay the games at least. What was I going to say? Oh yeah,
and that's what this whole conversation was about.
Yeah, that's
leading
definitely
up to
why
talking about the Dune games.
Yeah.
Jetty, you do realize that this whole conversation is
now
inexorably linked together with the content of this podcast, and I cannot cut it out.
Yeah, sadly,
It's
like
coming from
at
the
first
guy.
I was just going to talk about it while John fixed his microphone, and then it turned into a thing that we actually talked about.
Okay, well that's enough talking about the video game Dune and
Yes.
Dune 2 Tune.
Yes.
Great games, 10 out of 10.
Let's jump back to the viewer
about-
suggestion corner.
What about Dune 2000?
Where we have from Patrick Humphrey asked us to talk about the Google Snake game. And I was like, what's that? And it's like, if you just search Google Snake, you can just play Snake. Like, not just in your browser, but literally like on Google. Like,
Okay, so if I go to
there's search
DuckDuckGo and I
results
search
under
for
it.
Google Snake.
I remember they did this same thing with Pac-Man for one of its anniversaries.
There's like a drop down menu that if you drop it down, you can like play Pac-Man or spin a dreidel.
Yeah, and
which is like,
you can also just straight up play Breakout with Google Images.
Google Snake.
If you've ever done, I remember I used to do that in high school with everyone. Everyone's like,
There's-
what the heck is that?
There's also like a Google Maps Snake game, which is
What?
just Snake, but
You use
with
roads?
like it's just regular Snake, but you use vehicles iconic to certain locations around the globe. The background has pixel art representing that location, and the controls are really clunky. The one that you get when you just search Google Snake is like very smooth. It's like it's I'm sure it's not actually Flash, but it like has the vibe of a Flash game, basically. Very tweeny, if that means anything to you, listening audience. It was fun. I played it.
I'm playing it right now. It's very fun. As we speak.
Yeah.
On the podcast.
But yeah, I thought it was just interesting that you can just play Snake. You can just Google Snake. Google has a couple things like that. I know that they have something like you can roll dice, with it. Like you can type 1d4, and I think it'll just roll a d4 or something.
Oh.
But yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah, if you click on Snake, there's a drop down menu. It said other games and toys to play on Google, and Pac-Man and Solitaire and Tic-Tac-Toe was right there.
John.
Yes.
Sorry, I had a thought where it's like John. I was gonna be like Jonathan because that's like a thing that I do. I know that your name is not Jonathan. But, sometimes I will say things where it's like, I'm going to take a name that someone goes by, I'm going to elongate it, the opposite of a nickname, a knack name.
It's not what it's called.
But then I was like, okay, well, no, I can't do that because John doesn't like it when I call him Jonathan. And I respect that. But then I was like, well, wait, what if John had a brother named Nathan, and that's why he's not Jonathan? Because he was split into John and Nathan. And to bring back Jonathan, we have to get Nathan and combine their powers to become John Nathan.
Oh, no.
Anyway.
I just tell my roommate about that. He might put it in a script or something.
Nathan Rizzi is the new Martin Joseph.
Nathan Rizzi.
Kill him.
So, John, not Nathan. You recently had some anxieties about digital gaming media that you wanted to relate on this podcast. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah, that's right. So I'm sure, as people are well aware, the Nintendo 3DS and Wii U eShop will be closing as of March of next year. But you officially can't make purchases straight through there starting next month. Instead, you can just add funds to your Switch account, and then those funds will be carried over to your 3DS and Wii U account if you have a linked Nintendo account. I said account enough in this sentence, but still. So yeah, I just been recently panic buying a bunch of stuff on 3DS and Wii U I've been considering, or are too expensive to get physically. That yeah, I think Xenoblade Chronicles X is going for $80 now for just the disc. That's without the case and whatever inserts come with it. So, but the one I really wanted to get was Zelda Twilight Princess HD, because physically that goes for about $90, and it just keeps going up right now.
Yeah.
And on the Wii U eShop, it's just $50. I'm like, yeah, I'll just get the digital version, thank you.
Oh man, speaking of games that got expensive, finding out that my heirloom copy of Earthbound, gonna have to start keeping it in a safe.
Yeah.
No, it's $2,000 because I have the box and the manual. Yeah, and at first I thought that it was it's between 1,000 and 2,000. It's no, apparently it's 2,000 and up. So
yeah, no, it is jumped recently, which is wild because.
But yeah, an unopened copy is going for $8,000.
It's wild to me though because Earthbound has never been more accessible, without piracy.
Yeah,
even. And
I to me,
you could get it on Wii U and 3DS for a really long time. And then it's available on the eShop, or not the Nintendo Switch Online.
Yeah, and to me, the expensive games have always been Chrono Trigger, right? And it's weird watching the prices and Chrono Trigger's growing up. I mean, I remember when it was $100, and then I remember it was $200, and it's at $700 or $800 now. But that in the last 2 years, Earthbound has just rapidly just skyrocketed, and I'm gonna assume it's because of Deltarune, that because the what was the article that the hard drive posted that was Earthbound's biggest fan excited to play it for the first time. And in a way it's kind of true though, is that so many people are introduced to Earthbound because of other media that references it, and so there's an increased interest as opposed to people who want to play Chrono Trigger because they played it in the 90s, that there's a difference.
Yeah, Chrono Trigger is it's not really referenced so much as it's just sort of kept up in lists of good games from that time period.
Yeah. And so like if you want,
but it hasn't had a lasting. No one's really circled back around to it.
Yeah, other than like
and done anything.
Yeah, not in such a direct way as like everything directly references Earthbound. So like you can have games
because like with Earthbound, it feels like a lot of the thing that made Earthbound such a cult classic were like stylistic choices.
Yeah.
Whereas Chrono Trigger's stylistic choices, I mean, aside from having like
Akira Toriyama.
And not even that. Like he did, he also did stuff for a bunch of RPGs. So like that's not even unique for the time.
And like you can go and buy Dragon Quest now, and it's still artistic direction from him. So
yeah, and like time travel. I like incorporating time travel, kind of, but like I don't know, even just like thematically, time travel. It's just like 5 isekai stories.
Yeah.
And that's just so oversaturated in media right now that like I think it would be really hard for anything Chrono Trigger related to take a foothold, just because a lot of the stuff that was cool about it is just oversaturated in media right now. Whereas Earthbound was very quirky in a way that's like you can't do Earthbound by accident.
Yeah. And like there's also a lot of stuff where if you were to try to make something quote inspired by Chrono Trigger, you would just basically be making a JRPG, and you would probably be making it in 3D now. Whereas part of the like genre of Earthbound games is that they're in 2D with a specific art style that like looks vaguely similar from the realm of like off to eastward, where like there's a lot of range, but it's still recognizably kind of like inspired by
and also like contemporary settings. RPGs in contemporary settings is another thing that kind of like you can get from Earthbound. That's not really Undertale or Deltarune as much.
RPGs that have wiggly backgrounds in the battle screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tell us about the Wii U or Wii.
Before I just bought Twilight Princess HD because I just didn't have it physically, and to get it physically it was like $90. I'm like, no, I'll pay $50 for it digitally. I already have Wind Waker HD digitally. I don't want to get that physically either, because I already have Wind Waker and Twilight Princess like originals just physically. So do I really want to splurge this much money on the remakes? Not really. But on 3DS, I also just bought a bunch of other Game Boy games that were like too expensive for me right now. Like I got like Mario Golf on Game Boy Color, which apparently is amazing, that I've never played. And then I also got like Pokemon Yellow and Pokemon Crystal. Because like I never played a Pokemon game, and they're all like at least $50 loose. And that's being generous. So
wait, you've never played a single Pokemon game?
I played a bit of Fire Red and Pokemon Go. That's it.
Pokemon Go, my first Pokemon game.
I played Fire Red first. Not gonna lie.
Have you started playing those, or have you just downloaded them?
I just downloaded them.
So what have you played from your collection so far?
There's a mystery game on 3DS. I forgot what it's called. But it's one of those like it's a visual novel game where you're just going around solving mysteries and stuff.
I know that what it means is that it's like a detective, like you search for things. It's like you said there's a mystery game, and it's like what you don't get to know what the game is until you buy it. Like, it's a gachapon game where you don't know what game you're gonna get when you spend money on it.
What if it has like a flat price?
It's like what is it? You got like literally gacha game, but instead of cut out the middleman, it's not.
You get the game.
You don't play gacha in the game. Getting the game is the gacha.
Somebody
somebody patent that idea.
I was gonna say
so
that would
no
probably be
can
really successful, especially if it's like a
so that no one
price.
can do it.
It's like
no one is allowed to do it because I came up with it. Copyright Joseph Martin.
Yeah.
Martin Joseph Limited.
Spend $15
2022.
on this, and you could possibly get a chance of buying a $60 game. But yeah, I bought those. I bought the Wario Land games on Game Boy because they're like $5 a piece, and to get them like physically they're like $15. So it's like I'd save some money there because they were on my wish list for a while. I played a little bit of Wario Land 1. It was pretty fun. Oh, I just bought Wild Gunman and Duck Hunt NES games on the Wii U because that's like the only way you could play it with an accessory that's somewhat gun-like. Because like
now you can finally understand the references of the character in Super Smash Brothers
and Back to the Future.
It's like a baby's toy.
Yeah, no, I thought it was fun because playing I'm glad I got those because normally I just emulate NES games. But I'm glad I got those because playing those games with just a computer mouse is not the same as playing it with an actual gun.
Mm-hmm.
And then you gotta buy a new TV afterwards. Because like, oh no, I used a real gun. This joke is dumb. Please.
I don't know if we're going to be able to monetize this episode,
I was gonna say
we've talked about
the joke was dumb enough.
and
Just cut
drugs.
it.
Yeah,
The joke was dumb enough. Just cut it.
I already talked about a dude getting kicked in the left ventricle.
Not the ventricle.
Not the left one.
Yeah.
That's my least favorite kind of ventricle to get kicked in.
That's my favorite ventricle.
But yeah. Oh, and they Capcom just put a bunch of their stuff on those stores for sale I just got, I think a Resident Evil Revelations is like $5 on Wii U and $2 for the 3DS version.
I need to check on Legacy Collections again.
DuckTales Remastered is on sale on Wii U if you want to get that. If you want to get that and also happen to have a Wii U or haven't thrown it away at this point.
John, I only care about Mega Man, right? You're out here buying all these games that you've never played while I'm just sitting here waiting for them to give me another way to buy the same Mega Man games I own like 5 times over.
Well, Joseph Martin, you are in luck because Mega Man Legacy Collection on the 3DS eShop is now going on sale for a whopping $3.
Jeez. I shouldn't. I literally have Mega Man games on my 3DS.
Oh yeah, they sold them individually too. That was weird.
Yeah.
That is
back
so
then
weird.
There was no such thing as a Legacy Collection.
Oh, that's right. It was before. Why did they release it on 3DS and not like the consoles at the weird?
I already owned the games on 3D. I can't. No. I just gotta buy.
Don't do it.
I'm only allowed to buy the Mega Man Legacy Collection 2 because it has Mega Man 9 and 10 on it, which I don't own multiple times over.
Multiple times, but you own them once.
I own Mega Man 10 on the Wii U eShop, I think. Or maybe just the Wii eShop. But if it's the Wii eShop, I don't actually own it anymore because the Wii died.
The Wii shop.
So
why didn't they just call it? Oh wait, they did. Never mind.
I don't actually have a way to play Mega Man 9 and 10 right now. So that would actually be. I mean, I would be getting 7. And I own.
I got it physically on PS4, so haha.
Yeah,
I can play more Mega Man games than Joe. Everybody.
I think 7. No, I've got John. Do you have all the Legacy Collections?
I don't have the Z and ZX games. No. But I have the rest of them.
Shame. Yeah. So no, I need the Legacy Collection 2 and I need the X Legacy Collection 2, which I've just sort of held out on because I've heard that the games aren't actually very good, but I need to play them eventually. Zero ZX is I mean, Zero is There are good games in Zero and ZX. It's a little rough. I would really only recommend it if you are already invested in Mega Man and like understanding the development of Mega Man over time. Particularly how, like, maybe, especially if we get more Mega Man games eventually after Mega Man 11, how, like, the ideas from Zero and ZX sort of fed into Mega Man 11 as sort of like a through line.
Did 11
and
sell
also, I guess
well?
if you're... Yeah, 11 is, like, the second best selling Mega Man game of all time.
Okay,
Really?
man. No, it's not kind of a dumb question, but I don't know because I literally see it at GameStop for like used for like physical copies used for like dirt cheap prices. I was like, did this game sell well? I'm not sure.
No, yeah,
Well,
I mean, like, it's...
I think the thing is if it's sold a whole lot, then
Yeah.
it's very common, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it also has like physical copies of Shenmue 3 for sale for like $2, brand new. It's like, so
Yeah,
it's like
like-
there's a whole bunch in there. So like,
and like I think our ideas of that are kind of skewed because like Nintendo has sort of hit this idea of games never get cheaper. Like even if they're willing, even if they lose money, even if they sell fewer games because they don't let them get cheaper over time, like there's this idea that Nintendo games are evergreen, that they are working on creating a brand image for, right? Like it's in their like presentations to shareholders that get posted.
And that mentality goes into the secondhand market too, because Mario Party 6, well, it's not a rare game in the slightest. You can go on eBay and find like 2,000 results of people trying to sell their copies of Mario Party 6. All of them.
Oh yeah, no.
It's like all for them are like the price of a brand new video game. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah.
This game isn't rare.
They've basically, yeah, like Mario Party 6 and 7 are, you basically would, if you sold them now, I think you would get, factoring in inflation, basically as much as you bought them for.
Mm-hmm.
Pokemon games too, super common, right?
Yeah.
But like, I do not understand
Check the couch cushions. I'm sure you'll find a copy.
the video game speculation market even a little bit. I think that's it. It used to be collection and now it's speculation.
Yeah.
I think is part of it because like there's so much Fire Red, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, supply and demand does not factor into these for some reason.
Right. It's like we've seen I think there was a brief period where it's like Game Freak and Nintendo and the Pokemon Company are never going to let Pokemon games come out, like be re-released in any form. Like there was a period where we were kind of like, this seems to be a hill that they're going to die on. But then no, they put them on the 3DS eShop so you can get Yellow and Crystal like John did. Like if they
and now
do
that's
that,
closing down.
right. But that means that eventually you will be able to play Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, Fire Red, and Leaf Green. Going to exist eventually. Like there's no question in my mind about that. As soon as we start getting Game Boy Advance stuff, it'll probably be like well into it. But I mean, there's already been, I think it's leaks or rumors or I don't know what, or like source code that was leaked for adding GBA to Nintendo Switch Online. Yeah, I would say that doesn't necessarily mean that they were going to do it, just that they were ready to do it if they decided to.
If they're going to do it at any time, they're probably going to wait until the 3DS shop closes next year, which is still abnormally late into the Switch's life cycle. But they added the Pokemon games and Super Nintendo games extraordinarily late to the 3DS eShop, so they can do whatever they want.
But yeah, like Ruby and Sapphire and Emerald and Fire Red and Leaf Green will probably come back. Maybe, I don't know. I just don't understand it. Like I look at it just because I'm interested, and I also like, I don't know, maybe one day I'll have to sell all of my video games because I have an emergency or something. I hope that's not the case, but it's good to know where I stand, I guess, at least. But then there's certain like Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness is worth so much money. It's not Earthbound.
It's like a glorified. It's like a glorified Pokemon Coliseum, isn't it? For the most part.
Yeah, it's just a sequel to Pokemon Coliseum, but it's worth more than a GameCube to play it on.
It's worth more than the special edition Pokemon XD GameCube.
It's about the same. Like, okay, Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness is what, like 10 years old or something at this point, probably, roughly on the order.
I mean, so did it come out in 2012? No, I don't think so.
No. Okay, that's fair. 20 years old then?
Yeah, probably.
2002, that sounds more right, yeah.
19 years, yeah.
So, how much did Chrono Trigger cost in, 2010? When did Chrono Trigger come out?
1995.
Okay, so
I'm guessing that retailed for like $70 at that time.
2015. How much was Chrono Trigger worth?
Checking pricecharting.com right now. Oh my god, even the DS version is worth a lot. I have that loose. 2015. A loose copy of Chrono Trigger was worth around $90 to $100.
What about in box?
In the box. Hello. Around $230.
Okay. Well, I guess also though, like, in box for SNES games is usually more expensive because people rarely kept the boxes around.
Yeah,
because they were just
away.
Like huge, right? And you could store the games outside of the cart. Like with disc, like it's a lot more rare to like not have the boxes for disc based games. I think obviously there's still people who would like put them in like the little file things to save space, but like when there's just a place to put your disc, and it doesn't take up nearly as much space, and it sort of like looks like DVDs were at the time. I never felt compelled to throw away any of the cases, like I probably would have for some of the.
Oh yeah, because they're plastic cases. That's why.
Yeah.
It's like,
so. Because I think XD Gales of Darkness goes for like between $100 and $200 now.
Hang on a second.
But like XD Gale of Darkness has nowhere near the same cultural impact as Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, Gale of Darkness goes for about $170 right now in the box and with manual. Which
I think is more comparable to the state that you would expect to find you would expect Chrono Trigger to be loose.
And the limited edition GameCube goes for Pokemon XD GameCube goes for $150 complete.
It's less than the game, and I have that too. Then maybe they might be worth more as a set. But it's like that's wild. Like I don't understand that. There's no way that the video game Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness is worth more than the GameCube that was also branded with it. Because how many people had to replace their GameCube because their father left it on football all night because he didn't understand that turning off the TV does not turn off the GameCube. So the GameCube broke, so that the parents felt guilty, and when they got you a new game as an apology, they also got the special edition GameCube that came with it because you needed a new GameCube. Anyway, how many people did that happen to?
That's a very specific story.
At least one, from what I can tell right now.
Exactly. It's a very specific story. So why is the GameCube less expensive than the game? It doesn't make any sense.
Hey,
I think, guys, I'm going to go out on a limb here.
Hey, just that one mistake your parents made could pay for your mortgage one day.
John, it's $100. Calm down.
I said one day, which means not now.
But I just don't understand. I think it's, speculation is getting wrapped up in. Your speculators are arguing with collectors, basically. I think where we are now. Prices don't mean anything.
Yeah.
The economy's a sham. Nothing's real.
Yep.
I've been playing chess.
How's that going?
But on the computer.
Oh,
so
okay.
I was going to ask
a video game you've been playing in recent times.
Yeah, any updates recently? A new version?
Of chess?
Yeah.
Oh, they come out with new versions of chess all the time. I saw a YouTube video of chess with Advance Wars for the Game Boy Advance Fog of War, where you can't see your opponent's pieces unless
you have a piece that's near it.
You can't see your opponent's pieces unless they are able to be like the vision that the pieces have is like their capture range.
Yeah.
So basically you can only see your opponent's pieces if you can capture them.
That's good. Yeah.
And I think another rule, like pawns can also see the space directly in front of them. And I didn't actually watch. I started the video and then I had to get ready for the podcast. Anyway, but like there's a chess variant where it randomly selects. It basically mixes up the back row, but it's the same mix up for both sides.
Right.
So the pieces are in different spots.
Yeah.
So you have to like improvise more. You can't just use all of the same standard openings. There's ones where they make new pieces. So there's instead of the queen, it's like the Amazon or the Amazonian, which is like a queen plus a knight.
Yeah, well,
so it can do all of the piece movements.
Have you ever played Shogi?
I have, actually.
Yeah, with all of their...
where you can promote, and it has, like, you get to the other... And then, like, what is it? When you capture a piece, you get to put it wherever you want?
Yeah, there's a whole thing about, like, trading, like, captured pieces and stuff. And, like, upgrading things that, like, it's not just, you get to become the queen or whatever. It's like... your Lancer becomes the Gold Lancer or something.
Yeah, I think I played it like a browser version of it just to see what it was all about. But yeah, I've been playing it on the computer, partially because I got so frustrated with Pokemon Showdown and all of the luck involved in it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was playing random battles where you get a random team, which might not be good at all.
Yeah.
But even still, it was too much. It was too much luck. So, and also some people at work play chess, and I'm like just terrified that they're going to ask me to play chess with them, and I'm going to be terrible at it. So now I need to be okay at chess so I don't embarrass myself.
Crank that difficulty up to 12.
No, I'm for anyone who knows / cares, my current rating on chess.com is I think like 875, but I also haven't lost a chess game against a real human person yet. But also, I mostly just play against the computer because I get anxiety playing against a real human person.
Yeah.
I have played a good number of games, though. But not a lot. Not a whole lot. Definitely a lot more computer games than ones that actually affect my rank. I feel like we've kind of covered some of the games that we've been playing in recent times. Does anybody have anything that they want to add?
I haven't been on the podcast in a while, so I've been playing a lot. One fun thing to talk about. I've been playing the new Lego Star Wars. If anyone's interested in that, or has any nostalgia for those.
I've seen that. What is it? What's like the quick rundown of it?
It's all 9 movies. It's very fun, but I would recommend. It's hard. I would recommend playing it single player just so you could see more of the screen, because playing it co-op is just a default split screen, and the camera is so close up to your character that you can barely tell what's going on or where anything is. And so like any boss fights in split screen just boil down to button mashing. But the jokes are fun. It's very fast paced, and it's just a fun game.
And it's like different levels for the movies that have already had games, right?
Yeah, it's all completely redesigned, like a brand new engine, it's a completely different design for a Lego game. Like
but the levels are different too. They're not just like remastered. They're like just different levels.
No, it's like it's pretty much just a remake of the last of Lego Star Wars 1, 2, and then Lego Star Wars Force Awakens. It's basically a remake of those ones. Like from the ground up, like remake. Like in the vein of like the Resident Evil 2 remake. It's just a completely different game. Okay. But yeah, it's fun.
Is it fun?
Yeah, it's very fun.
Okay, your answer. Asked and answered.
Is just playing a single player is also frustrating too, because the AI, like, for your partner is non-existent. So it's like you're doing like the Darth Maul boss fight as like, and like Obi-Wan's just standing in the corner not doing anything. It's like, a little help here, buddy. Getting my butt kicked. He's like not even like deflecting any like lasers that are going at him. It's so weird. But yeah, no, it's fun. I've also, when Elden Ring came out, I also started playing Dark Souls 1 just to see like what the genre's about. I played it for 4 hours and got killed an embarrassingly amount of times, and I haven't picked it up since.
That is a very common loop. I think if you want to follow the common path, you come back to it a couple months and discover why it's good.
Yeah, no, I've done that too with I did that also with Final Fantasy X because I got a game over in like a really embarrassing way, so out of embarrassment I just didn't play the game for another few months. But then I went back to it. I was like, oh yeah, I remember why I like this game. But yeah, that's that.
Jetty, anything else?
I haven't been playing a whole lot of games. I think I was saying earlier that my most game playing recently has been the various Wordle spin-offs. So,
Spin-offs.
Wordle, Nerdle, Hurdle.
Okay, you have to give like a brief summary of each of these, because it's not clear from the title.
Yeah, so Wordle, you have to guess the word. Worldle, you get a picture of the silhouette of a country, and then you type in like a country name, and it'll tell you how close you are physically. So it'll give you that it's 8,000 kilometers away. And then I've gotten pretty good at it. I mean, I have a vague knowledge of, geography. So it's like, okay, well, if it's not on this continent and it's that far away, it has to be on that continent. What is vaguely shaped like this on that continent? The ones that I hate are when it's just islands. And then it's like, well, I don't know what this specific island could be out of the thousands of islands that are out there, but that one's a classic. Nerdle, which is math, so you have it's like 8 or 9 characters or something, and you're supposed to put numbers or plus, minus, multiply, divide, or equals. That's a good one. What was it? Oh, yeah, Hurdle, which they give you 1 second of audio and you're supposed to guess it, and then if you don't get it, then it adds another second of audio, then another second of audio. There's also Semantle, which I think I'm going to give up on because there's unlimited guesses and it's just guess the word. Any word. And it'll tell you, as a percentage, how close in meaning it is. And, yeah, hold on. Actually, let me go to...
Are we about to play Semantle live right here?
No, so the thing is that yesterday's word, I got, analyze, I got observe, and these are, within the top 10, closest meanings. And so, understand, analyze, observe. I'm trying to remember what some of the other ones were, but it was inspect or whatever. And I keep going, and I'm getting kind of mixed signals when you get lower in the list. But what do you think is something that's similar to the word analyze? Investigate. Right? Something like that. John, anything?
Study.
The word was gather.
What?
Yeah, and so I'm I'm done.
Yeah.
Not playing that anymore. It's the kind of game where you can spend hours just typing in words, and then it turns out they're oh, what was it you put in, pull? Well, the word was pulled. And it's kidding me? So yeah, I think I'm done with Semantle. It was fun in concept when I tried it, but there's too much it's not technically that the meaning of the word itself has to be similar. It's that they are found in the same places in newspaper articles. So they had one a few days ago where I was getting words like cart and wagon and like dirt and farm and stuff, and then like the word was horse. And it's like, I mean, yeah, they would be found together in a newspaper article, but like that's not a good way to like try to guess. And that's why, again, if you're analyzing stuff, you are gathering information about it, right? Like, and so
yeah, I get it.
There's a point where you're going to spend hours just trying to guess like what it is, and kind of done with that one. But I do have fun every day with Wordle, Hurdle, Nerdle, Squirtle, Turtle.
There's also Quirtle, which is you do 4 at a time.
Yeah, I tried that one.
I've also seen Anti-Wordle. I don't know what that is.
I do know that there's like all of the Hurdle spin-offs where it's like Sonic Hurdle is one that's popular right now. That's explicitly Sonic OST Hurdle. Yes, that's about as much gaming as you get from me. I've been playing the book Dune.
Choose your own adventure.
Out of the one option.
But the only choice is to start reading the book.
Yeah. How about you, Joe?
I play chess, remember?
Oh, yeah.
And that's it for the podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
That is it for the podcast. You sound like you're making a joke, but that is the end of the podcast. Thank you for listening to this edition of the GameCola podcast. If you like what you heard, please check us out on our actual internet website, GameCola.net, where you can find other podcasts and articles like Jetty's review that he mentioned earlier.
Yep, I reviewed both Dune and Dune 2. Also, for podcasts, we just had the 10th anniversary Paul and Jetty cast, Jedditors only.
Yeah. So make sure you, if you missed that, to check it out in the podcast feed, which you can find on iTunes, Spotify. You can also find podcast episodes on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, there's a special edition of the 20th anniversary Jedditors only Paul and Jetty show that has supplemental information, so you get images of some of the stuff that we talk about.
And there's also the live chat from the premiere.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So you can check us out, find us on GC.net, the letter G, the letter C, the word dot, the word net. Also check us out on Discord, where we hang out and have a good time. You can find the link to the Discord in the article description, in the description of the YouTube videos, on our Twitter, on the social media page, on Facebook, not Facebook, well, there's Facebook and Twitter, which are social media pages, but I was thinking of Twitter description, and the social media point on the GameCola website. Come join us on Discord. It is a lot of fun to have people hanging out and talking. Anything else to add?
No.
That sounds like a no.
Think we good?
Thank you once again for listening. Have a wonderful time of day, wherever it is, whenever it is you are listening to this podcast, and we will see you next month. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Sorry that my audio was kinda stuffed in this episode. The London apartment's not that great for audio quality, and I'm still working on it. I learned some cool stuff to help. It was much worse before, but thanks for listening. Hope it's better next month.